Greetings, the internet. This is Ninarch, and welcome back to my tutorial series on making a Pokemon-style game in Construct 2. Now, I know I've been gone for a while. I have a number of excuses, but I just really wanted to make sure that what I was going to teach you is expandable and also a good learning experience, and not just like a bombardment of things you have to do in order to make things work. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to be, you don't have to do this. We're going to be pretty much going over just arrays today. And that's where we're going to be storing all our information about our parcel creatures. Now, what is an array, you might be asking? This is an array. What? AJ, that looks like a grid. That's exactly what an array is. It's a grid where you store different types of information in, so you can access it later. Very similar to a chessboard. So say there was a circle, actually a circle wouldn't be here. Say the number 2 was in here. You could say array 1, 1, and boom, it would access the information in that block. So that's basically what an array is. There's also 3-dimensional arrays. We're not going to be going into those. We might end up having to use one later, but ignore it for right now. Just we're going to be using, this is called a 2-dimensional array. So yeah, x-axis, y-axis, information in it, simple. So let me just explain it a little better in accordance to what we're actually going to be doing. So this is how our array is going to look. Our x-axis is going to be our different creatures. So we'll have the different names of the creatures here, as you can see in name. And each of these blocks is going to be a different parcel creature. So, for example, the things that I already have done, our creature number 0 is thing, and you can access his name by using our array. So our array, I think, is going to be called creatures, and you can access it. Actually, you would have to do 0, 0, and if we were doing code, this is how you would access the name of our creature thing. And so each one of these going downward in our y-axis is going to be information relating to that creature. So for example, his health is 10, as you can see, and his damage is 2. And so each one of these are bug creatures. Health is 9, our damage is 3. Fire thing is going to be health 11, and his damage will be 1. So I hope that makes sense. Watch it over and over again until it does, and then we can get started over here. You can unpause the video now. So, how do we make an array? Well, an array, in accordance with a lot of things that Construct 2 does, you can make an object that is its own array and deal with it that way. So you can just right-click, insert a new object, and then you want to go, it's the very first thing up in data and storage, it's called array, double-click on that, and now we have an array in our project. And now, again, it doesn't show up anywhere. There's not a literal object. It's just inside of our object types. Now, I should clean this up at some point, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, so you can actually have multiple arrays. If you insert a new array, you can name this array like fun things and etc. But we're only going to be using one, and we're going to be calling it creatures. So you can delete this fun things, because there's no fun allowed in this tutorial. Anyway, so first thing we want to make sure we have is over here in properties, there's only one property, or there's only one group of properties, and it's width, height, and depth. Now, the width of our array is going to be how many creatures we have. So in this very simple case, and before we get to adding more, right now it's 3. Now you'll notice that it starts at 0, 1, and 2. This is actually 3. As many things in computers, they start at 0, so just get used to it. So our width is actually going to be 3, even though the last one is 2. Remember, 0 is counting as 1, and etc. And then also our height is going to be 3 for now. That is how much information we have per creature. So we have name, health, and damage right now. So that's 3. So that's good. And then make sure you have your depth at 1. This is a thing in Construct. You just have to know you have to have at least 1 in each of these properties in order for your array to exist. So just make sure this is not at 0, even though you might think, oh, well, the depth is 0. I don't know why you would think that, but if you did think that, then I would encourage you to not. Okay, cool. So now there is a way to load in data for your array with a file called a JSON file, not JSON like the kid from that one game, but JSON, which I believe stands for something, I'm sure. But we're going to populate it in construct, and maybe later when it gets more advanced, I'll show you how to import a bunch of information via a JSON file. What am I doing? Stop doing this. Okay, cool. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is actually make a new event sheet, and we're going to call it array, I guess. And we want to right-click and add an event and go to System, on Start of Layout. And so this is going to be kind of wonky, but it's the best way I could think of that works. So let's actually create a comment, and we're going to call this, what's the first one, thing, and put our system underneath this. And my comments are bright red so that I've noticed them. So thing is actually going to be the name. You should probably call it creature, thing, creature. This is unimportant completely, but anyway. So on start of layout, we want to populate our array with things. So we want to go to add action, click on our creatures array, and then we're going to go to set at x. And so at x 0, which is the very beginning, we want to make the value to the name of our first Pokemon. Now it's very important that this is exactly the same name as the name in your function where we find out, or we randomly create creatures. Make sure it's exactly the same, and you also make sure you need to have the quotation marks, and this indicates that you have a string. If you don't know what a string is, just Google data types and you can read all about it, but the important thing is if it's a word, put quotations around it. Cool. So we have our value 0 at thing, so now we want to start setting things at our y-axis. So we're going to set it xy. X is going to be 0, and that's our very first Pokemon. Remember, 0, 0 is thing. So 0, 1 right here is going to be our health. So you're going to make that 10, or sorry, y is 1, so we're here. So y is 1, and our health is going to be 10. And then we also want to copy that and paste that one more time. And y is going to be 2 now, and our 2 is our damage right here. So our damage in this case is 2 as well, so we're going to set that value as 2. Now, I think the way to kind of keep this organized is to copy both of these, copy and paste, and put this comment here. I thought that would put it on top of it, but it didn't. So this one's going to be bug o cred, and let me just make sure that that's exactly the same as I have it here. And if you want to be even more crazy, you can copy it like this and paste it here, and I was right. So now remember, we're setting our x value at 1. So here's our x as well. I guess I probably should have put x's and y's on this chart. Cool. So now our x is 1 now. We're going to bugocret, so he's 1, 0. And all we have to do is set it at our x, because x is automatically 0. Our y value was automatically 0 in this case. So our x is going to be 1, and our value is going to be bugocret. And then our value here is going to be 9. And so you have to make sure that you set our x back at 1, because we're at the first x. And y is 1, which is fine, and then 9 was our value. Don't forget to make your x 1. Y this time is 2. Right, that's correct. And our value is going to be 3. And so you copy this again, and this one I think is just called fire thing. So we're going to change this to fire thing. And don't forget, set your x value to corresponding to your thing. Now, if you want to make an Excel spreadsheet, that's probably a good idea. That's basically what this is anyway, just to keep track of all your information. Again, there's a way to import this information via a file, but I think it's too complicated for you guys right now. So anyway, so here we are at fire thing. So that's 2, our name is that. Our health is 11. So x is 2, y is 1, value is 11. and x is 2, y is 2, and value is 1. So how do we use this? Well, we're actually going to be kind of creating a placeholder battle screen and then making the battle screen in a completely different video. But let me show you how this actually works. So let's create a new layout. Create a new layout, and we'll call it battle. And we can just put our player on here for fun right now, just so we know we get there. Now we have a new event sheet. Make sure you have a new event sheet for battle. And we'll call this battle as well. So first thing, go to your main event sheet and make sure you right click and include event sheet and include our array. You don't have to include the battle. In fact, you shouldn't. In fact, don't. Right, so we included our array. So what that basically does is when our game screen loads, it's going to find our array and it's going to set it up the way we have. Now, we should probably actually have this in like a startup screen or a loading screen. You shouldn't have to reload it every time you go into the main, but since we don't have a loading screen just yet, we'll make sure we leave it in our main for right now, and that's just how it's going to be. Especially since it's such a small array right now, it's not going to affect anything extremely. Cool. So what we want to do is go to our function and minimize these things. Oh, this is, you're not supposed to know about that yet. Okay, so go to your functions. I'm sorry I'm jumping around a lot, but this is the way that we can, this is the only way we can make it work. So right click on your function, or sorry, just click on your function and add a new sub event. And then go to our system, compare variable. If our encounter creature is not equal to Missigno, make sure you put a, make sure this is exactly the name of what comes up when we have no Pokemon, whatever that may be here in this case. So if it's not anything, it's Missigno. Let me just copy and paste this just to make sure. If it's not Missigno, that means it's going to be one of the, or it will actually have rolled a Pokemon. So the only thing we have to do is add an action, and we're going to go to System, go to Layout, go to the Battle Layout. Cool. That's all we have to do here in the function. So basically what this is going to do is every time you go on the grass, it calls encounter, it goes through, did anything happen? Yes, maybe we got Red Hat, and actually we're not going to be getting Red Hat, we're only going to be focusing on these three right now. So say you get Buggo Crit, and it's not Missigno, it's going to go to the battle screen. Now, our battle screen is going to be really, really basic, but let me just show you real quick. So we're going to insert a new object, make it a sprite font, so it looks, you know, sort of like it matches, I guess. And then we want to actually call this, we're going to call it create name, and then right click and clone. Now cloning is different than copying. Clone will actually make a new version of the text box. If we leave it at cret name and just have a bunch of copies of it, it's going to change all the text to be the same thing. So call this cret, what is it, health first, and then clone again, and this is going to be cret damage. Cool, and so that's all we need here. So basically what we're going to be doing is going into our battle event sheet, and we're going to go on start of layout. Okay, so on start of layout, we're going to start off by adding action, go to our cret name, and this one's easy. We can just go to set text, and we can just change this to encounter creature our variable, because we know that's the creature that we've encountered. So that's fine. So this part's going to be a little bit complicated. Get ready for some real ass code. So we're going to set health. We're going to go to set text. And then we're going to reference where our we're going to reference our array. So we're going to go to parcels, or sorry, creatures. I called it parcels in another event. .at. So this is going to look for where our what portion of the array we're at. So if we did array at 1, 1, it would look up our, I guess that would be 9, which would be our Bugocret health. But we want to reference wherever it is that the name of our array is, and I know that's a weird sentence. So I guess the easiest way to explain it is, it's going to look for wherever there is Bugocret, and it's going to look for its index, which in this case is 1. Or if it's going to look, it's going to find thing, and then it's going to go, okay, its value is 0. That's where its index is. Fire thing, etc. His index is 2, and so on. So what we want to do is at creatures dot index of, and then we're going to do a parentheses, and we're going to go to encounter creature, because that's going to look for, okay, the index of our encountered creature, which in any case it would be whatever it is. So that's going to be where our where we're looking for the creature, and we can just go 1, and that's going to look for its health. Okay, so look over this for a second and see if you can figure it out. So at, remember, is just looking for a 2 points. At is looking for x-axis and then a y-axis, so 2, 2. So in the index of, it's looking for the actual creature, and then it's looking for its index, which in this case is 1. So say we rolled fire thing in this case, it's going to go, okay, where's fire thing? It's number 2. Okay, so we're going to put 2 here under index of encounter creature, and then we're going to go down to 1 for its health. So it's going to find that and go here. So yeah, just that's how things are going to be from now on, guys. I'm sorry. So now it's pretty easy. We can just do this one. Oops. Oh, you know what? Don't do that. Go to add action. Go to cret damage, and then set text, which is somewhere. I'm just going to copy this again. So we're looking for damage now, and remember damage is 2. The index is 2 in the array. And that's about it. So you can also go to add event real quick. Keyboard on any key pressed. Make it space, I guess. This is just for debugging purposes. We're going to delete this later. Just go to layout and go to our test layout. Okay, cool. So this should work, I think. Make sure you're not going to this grass. This grass is the red grass. We're just using this grass, which is called calculi for some reason. The grass that contains the Pokemon that you've been making. So we'll walk around, and there we go. We got a fire thing Pokemon. We encountered him, and remember his health right there is 11 and his damage is 1. And then press space and it'll go back, and you can do it all over again. And now we encountered a fire thing again, and maybe eventually we'll find something that's not a fire thing. Okay, there we got the thing, and let's see if we can get our Bugocret, and there he is with a 9 and 3. Cool. So that's basically it, and I know basically is a strong word, but I hope you guys understood. I wanted to make sure that I got into the battle screen a little bit so you guys could kind of see things, working. Anyway, I hope you had a great day, and I encourage you to continue learning your craft.